Welcome back, Spiffers. It's good to see all of you. It's Jamie Woodhouse again from SaaS Educators, here with your 5-minute Salesforce Spiff tip of the week. Hope you've been enjoying these. I've been having a lot of fun doing these tips of the week, and hope you continue to find these helpful. As always, please leave in the comments if you have sections or topics that you want to talk a little bit more about or learn a little bit more about in Spiff. I'll read those comments and create topics that you're interested in. So excited to be with you again today. All right, so today what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about how to troubleshoot statement errors within Spiff. And really, to keep this as 5 minutes, this could be an hour-long conversation. But to keep it to 5 minutes, I'm going to focus on what are the top 2 issues that we find in support at Spiff with statement errors. What are the 2 main reasons why we see these statement errors and how to fix those, as well as just an overall process that I like to use. Because usually the hardest part with the statement errors in Spiff is that when you see them or you receive them in your Spiff system, you're like, I don't even know where to start. So I'll kind of walk you through my process of what I like to do to kind of iterate through those and be able to find those needles in the haystack. That there's an error existing somewhere. How do I even narrow down where to find it, where to start? I'll show you how you can use Spiff to be able to see those. All right. So we are in a Spiff. We're in my Spiff training system. And in this current statement period that I'm in, I've got 2 statement errors. I can see it here as I scroll down my commissions that I've got Chloe and Ava that has issues. Or I can see the statement overview at the top here and see that out of the 7 total statements that I have created, 2 of them need attention, meaning that they're in an errored state. And this is where I like to start. I don't know if you realize this, but this is hyperlinkable so that you can actually click on the number that needs attention, and it will actually take you to a nice little window that gives you a review of the issues that we're seeing. Now, this screen right here gives me a lot of different information. I'm not going to go through all the details here because I don't use this screen too much other than just starting as a starting point so that I can work through, I can clear things up and see this list get smaller and smaller because it is interactive and real time as you complete things. So these 2 errors that I have, I see it's Ava Sassner and Chloe. The error message that I see isn't crazy helpful. It's a lot of computer speak, so it's a little difficult, but I do want to tell you that if you ever see this word null here, and you'll see that typical in a lot of messages, null in computer speak just means no data. We were expecting data to do some kind of math calculation. This one's a divisible and this one's a multiplier, but we're trying to do something with data in Designer where we have the logic to create the commissions, and we have missing information. It is null. We are expecting a number, we are not seeing a number, and therefore that's the error. So if you ever see the word null, that just means you have missing data, and that's fairly common. Hopefully it's not super common as far as it just depends on your system and how things are going. But as far as errors go, when you get an error, 9 times out of 10, it's because you've got missing data when Spiff is going to expect that. So there's 2 different reasons why this information is missing. And the next thing I like to look at is just the recommended actions. So here in the recommended actions, we'll see review quota data. I mainly wanted to bring that up because if you have missing quota information, we're expecting a quota and it's not entered into the system, that's where you'll see this recommended action. The nice thing about this is it's really handy because I just get to click on review quota data and it will go ahead and open up another tab. It'll take me right to my quotas, and I can go ahead and find the quota that Ava Sassner is on. And for this one, we've just got 1 quota in this test environment. And so I can just go ahead and look. I'm back in 2024. I can see the people who have the missing quota. it's nice that it opens up the quota tables and we can just start troubleshooting right away. So I can go ahead and just edit this. I'll copy this over just like we do in Excel, where you can just click and drag that corner and it will copy it over. Then I go ahead and since I'm zoomed out, I can't save. So let me zoom in a little bit so I can click on save. And I'll zoom back out again so you guys can follow along with me a little bit easier. Now that I've got that, that quota put in there, I can go ahead and just close that window so that I'm done with the quota. I can check Ava Sasna so that I can choose to just calculate her system there. All right, so I've got Ava Sasna. I just want to recalculate hers. So if I go ahead and hit calculate, if it completes successfully, it's going to show that to me down at the bottom. And notice how she drops off the list. So I like this list. It's interactive. As I clear up issues, the list will get smaller and smaller. All right, so missing quotas, very, very common. If you ever see recommended action review in quota table, then click on that, go to the quota for that individual, and you'll probably see pretty quickly that that quota is missing. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but again, is one of our most common issues or reasons why we see statement errors in Designer is missing quotas. So careful with those quotas. Hopefully you've got a process when you have new team members that are starting or people are moving to different teams that you set up the quota as part of their process of getting on a new team or bringing in a new hire. All right, this next one, again, we've got some missing information. It's not a quota. It just says review calculations in Designer. Well, if I click on that link, because I like that that link is there, this really doesn't help me a whole lot. It actually brings me to Designer. It highlights the, brings me in for October and Chloe. It highlights the one that I'm struggling with. This will turn into an error pretty soon, but it doesn't really tell me anything more. And so with how detailed commissions are within Spiff, I really like to know, okay, exactly where do I need to go, which cell or which field is in an errored state so that I know which calculation I need to troubleshoot and figure out instead of just, okay, it's this payout rule that's having the issue. Good luck. Go ahead and get started and good luck on finding it. So if I go back to my errored statement list, if I click on Chloe's name, it'll actually open up her statement that is in an errored state. We'll see this pink bar at the top saying that there's a snag in creating the statement. This is where I want to hit the Learn More button. This one will be a little tricky to follow along just because what I like to do here is to have two different screens. I'm assuming, and I know most of you have multiple screens on your desktop. So try and have your statement with the error on one screen and then Designer in the other screen so that you can kind of move back and forth easily. But I'm just going to kind of tab back and forth between those two. But hopefully in your mind, you can imagine having two different screens, the error in the statement on one and then Designer troubleshooting on the other one. I'm not going to go into all the details of these errors and what each one of these mean. The main thing I want to focus on here, as far as the tip goes this week, is the trace data. This is going to tell you how to get to that field that is having the issue. I know that it's the payout rule accelerator commission, and the field is called the accelerator commission. Now, I have a pretty simple example and a pretty simple calculation. And so it's on the main calculation that's actually creating the commission that the error is at. But if it's deep down in, you've got 10 levels deep and the calculations have those 10 levels deep, you'll have a trace data that actually walks you through the breadcrumb trail, is what I call it, of how to start with your payout rule, click in and actually click through all of those fields to get to the field that's in an errored state so that you can troubleshoot it. Really, really nice. I really like it because it tells you where that needle in the haystack is instead of you having to try and search for it on your own. But for this one, really quickly, To finish up, again, a simple example, but I've got missing data. All right, I know I need to go to the payout rule of the accelerator commission and start with the accelerator commission and actually end there because that's where my issue is. So I go to designer, I see my accelerator commission, and I can go ahead and usually I can click in the payout amount and it will just take me to that that field. But when it's in an errored state, it doesn't allow you to click through like some of these are able to when it's actually working correctly. So I can click in it and I can kind of see, okay, it's going to the accelerator commission data sheet and the accelerator commission. So I've got my data sheets here. And I can find my accelerator commission data sheet. And where it always starts is it always starts with the field or the column that has this purple $sign. That's my commission. That's how I know it's my commission, is it's through the $sign there. So that's where I would start. And then I can continue to go down and follow the breadcrumb trail to the new fields that it wants me to go to. But in this case, I actually forced this error. I put in an if statement to return a null just to kind of prove my point. So if you're missing data, it's either in a calculation or probably most common, it's more upstream. There's data that we're expecting to sync from Salesforce and it's just not coming through. At least you'll know what data is missing so that you can troubleshoot that within Salesforce and figure out why that's not coming down. But for this example, all I'm going to do is just take out my if statement that's forcing the null. Once I fix that in Designer, you'll see that that error no longer exists. That's how you know that you have fixed the issue, is once the cell is no longer in an errored state, then you should be good to go. I can go ahead and go back to my statement error report. I can check Ava's name. If it'll let me, I've got something kind of in the way here. Let's try this. There we go. And I can go ahead and recalculate. Whoops. That's for December. Let me make sure I'm back at October. And I was doing Chloe's. I recalculate, says that it's good, and good news, we're finally done. So you can basically kind of iterate through and work through all of the issues that you have. And once you get it into this state, when you go back to your commission window, I go back to October, I can see now that nothing is in an errored state anymore, and then I'm good to go. And I'm ready to send these out to my reps. So hopefully this has been helpful, that you could see kind of the process of how to iterate through statement errors, how to recalculate within that screen, and to be able to trace through and find the data of where that needle in the haystack is so that you can start troubleshooting and fixing those issues. Hopefully this helps so that you can be a little bit more confident when you see statement errors instead of seeing an error and freaking out and going, I don't even know where to start. Hopefully this helps you get the ball rolling and helps fix or helps you resolve on your own 90% of the issues that you run into. All right, everybody. As always, I am coming to a city near you. I do these 3-day boot camps for Spiff admins. And go to saaseducators.com. It is in, the link is in the comments below to join me. Coming up soon is in Lehi, Utah. If you know the Thanksgiving Point area in Utah, we call it, that's where I'm from. We call it Silicon Slopes instead of Silicon Valley. I don't know if that's spread or if that's just a Utah thing, but come join me in Lehi, Utah next month, as well as at the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco. I'll be there next month as well. So hope to see you soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.